sun. How about that? I don't mind looking at the sun.
Okay, folks. This is Kenny here. I am doing a live stream.
So, can you guys hear me back there? Good deal. All right. So, I'm Jan Morgan. I am running to unseat the current incumbent Senator John Bozeman for the United States Senate seat. Yes. I am a Christian, conservative, wife, mother, small business owner. I live in Hot Springs, Arkansas. If you listen to the mainstream media in this state talk about me, which is very rare, they don't like to mention my name. Because if they mention my name, somebody might actually research me and find out that I'm the real deal. But they always refer to me as the gun range owner who wants to be senator, as if that's something to be marginalized over. Yes, I do own a firearms training facility in Hot Springs. My husband and I own it. We've had it for 9 years. We've trained over 40,000 people from every state in the United States. People fly in to take our classes from as far away as New York, California, every coast, Florida, you name it, they've been there. I've got the pictures to prove it. So when those people fly in to take my pistol classes, they stay in Arkansas hotels, they eat at Arkansas restaurants, and they shop at Arkansas stores. So I would like to think that I've done my share to promote the Arkansas economy. I love this state. I hate what our government, our state government and our federal government is doing to the people of our state, and that's why I'm in this race. So what the mainstream media doesn't tell you about Jan Morgan that uniquely qualifies me for this job in this horrendous time in our country is that for 27 years I was an award-winning television investigative journalist with a specialty in exposing waste, fraud, and abuse in government. It's what I do best. 27 years. So that is the war we're up against, folks. Political thugs in suits in D.C. And I'm running against one of them. So on that note, let me tell you what's wrong with our incumbent, which is why I had to get into this race. John Bozeman has voted 21 years on appropriations bills that fund Planned Parenthood. Can you hear me? He's voted 21 years on appropriations bills that fund Planned Parenthood. That's a fact. I've been calling him out on it. He doesn't respond to it. And finally, last week, after me calling him out for a whole year, he went on his Facebook page. And folks, you don't have to take my word for it. Look it up. He made a post that, we really shouldn't be spending tax dollars, federal tax dollars, on facilities that provide abortions. That needs to stop. So I went on his page and I said, so why have you been doing it for 21 years? Why did I have to call you out on it? Because no one was talking about it. Also, John Bozeman has a failing voting record from 4 conservative outlets. You don't have to take my word for it. Look up his voting record. Failing. 4 conservative outlets, including Mark Levin's. The John Birch Society says that 83% of his votes have been in conflict with the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Just since Joe Biden has been in office, he has voted 36% of the time with Democrats, compared to Tom Cotton voting 17% of the time with Democrats and Joe Biden's policies. Now, I think 17% is too much. So I'm mad at Tom Cotton. What is Joe Biden? Give me 17% of what Joe Biden has come out with that's worth supporting. And realize that John Bozeman has voted twice as many times for Joe Biden's policies and his cabinet confirmations. For example, John Bozeman voted to confirm Pete Buttigieg for Secretary of Transportation. Tom Cotton voted against that confirmation. Why did John Bozeman vote for a Democrat that wants to tax you for every mile you drive your cars on our highways that we've already paid for? That's the guy that he voted to confirm. Tom Cotton said no. He also voted to confirm Linda Thomas Greenfield for UN Ambassador. Linda Thomas Greenfield is an America-hating, America apologist racist. She is Barack Obama in female form. She has been an international embarrassment since she's been confirmed. Tom Cotton voted against her confirmation. John Bozeman voted for her confirmation. And that's after she made the statement that America's founding documents are weak with white supremacy. No, they are not. Just today, John Bozeman was trying to defend himself, and he lied to the people once again. He got caught on video saying what I told you all year he's been saying behind Trump's back. You see, he blamed Trump on his personal Facebook page. He blamed President Trump for January 6th. He did that on his Facebook page, February 13th, right after the January 6th ordeal. Go to his post, February 13th. It's still there. He blamed President Trump for January 6th. And furthermore, he said Trump could be criminally charged for his role in January 6th. He said that. I can tell you, I was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. I was at the ellipse where the president delivered his speech. President Donald J. Trump did not say a single word, not one word, that justified or incited any illegal, unlawful actions at our United States Capitol. So when the newspaper realized that Bozeman was blaming Trump for January 6th, and Jan Morgan was saying, no, Trump is not to blame for January 6th, when this other guy got in the race, that they threw in the race to take votes from me, y'all heard about him, he calls himself a Super Bowl champ. He never played a single down in the Super Bowl. Right now, he's going to be the subject of a book called From Blumenthal to Beckett about stolen valor for misrepresenting the amount of time he served in the United States military. Wow. So that guy, when the Democrat Gazette asked him, so Bozeman's blaming Trump for January 6th. Jan Morgan says Trump's not responsible for January 6th. Mr. Beckett, where do you stand? Apparently, this is going to be an issue in this campaign. He hem-hawed around, said he really didn't think that we needed to be talking about that. We need to move forward. His handlers whisked him away. They fled the scene and said, we will issue a formal statement later. And the formal statement was more wishy-washy, beat around the bush, not give a definitive answer. So that's why you see the meme on Facebook that has Bozeman's picture, Beckett's picture, and then Jan Morgan's picture, and it says, blamer, dodger, fire. So on the other guy that's in the race, just want to say this, I shouldn't even have to mention him, he's still in the single digits in the polls. That's Bozeman's polls, and our polls are still showing him in the single digits. So he's really not a factor, but I wanted to tell you this anyway, because there are people that have been misled about who he is. You need to know that this guy has taken a $1 million donation from a Chicago billionaire. That's not Jan's word, that's public record. Go look it up, it became a national news story. The guy's name is Dick Uline. He's not a relative of Jake Beckett's who just wanted to help the cousin out. He's not a family member or a friend. He is a billionaire who's known for buying politicians. He buys the politicians that he can control. So let me help you understand this. If Jake Beckett wins the Senate seat, he will not be there to serve you. He will be serving the desires of this special interest money that came from Chicago. Why does a Chicago billionaire want to control the United States Senate seat from Arkansas? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand the problem with that. If you saw the recent article that came out, there was an article that came out a couple weeks ago that said Jan Morgan is surging in the United States Senate race, in spite of the fact that she's raised the least amount of money of the other two candidates. And here's why. Because John Bozeman is owned by Big Pharma, by Political Action Committee money. That's public record. Go to the FEC website and look at who's donating to his campaign. Jake Beckett is owned by a Chicago billionaire. And it said, but Jan Morgan is notorious for turning down special interest money. And the reason that is absolutely a fact. When I ran for governor, I turned down $2 million when I needed it the most. A month before the race was over, I turned down $2 million from a millionaire who wanted to help me win. And yes, that definitely would have gotten my message out. But I turned it down because that kind of money comes with strings attached. And those strings are why I have to run for office to begin with. Folks, if you had asked me 10 years ago if I would ever run for political office, I would say, you're crazy. Like Trump, I am a very successful business owner. I'm a happily married woman. I love my life. I do not love Washington, D.C. It is a cesspool of corruption. I do not want to go there. I'm going there if you elect me because we don't have a choice. I was with General Flynn a couple of weeks ago, and he said, we have a year to a year and a half to save this country. This country cannot last at the current pace. We cannot last until the next president is inaugurated. We have to change over this House and Senate now. We need bold, aggressive fighters in D.C. now to turn this country around and stop the tyranny that is happening. absolute lie. What you should get from that is that Tom Cotton, he has proven that he is willing to lie to the people of Arkansas for the sake of feeding the swamp, because he knows darn good and well that John Bozeman is not a fighter, he is not a leader, and he does not vote with Cotton most of the time, which is what Cotton says in his commercial. That is absolutely a lie. He is a Liz Cheney, Mitch McConnell suck-up rhino, and that is why I'm having to run in this race. To announce nationally, I will not support Mitch McConnell for Senate Majority Leader. Now, who does that? Most people running for U.S. Senate, you don't dare say anything about the Senate Majority Leader, because then the RNC might get mad at you and they may pull out all the stops and do everything to stop you from winning that seat. Well, let them pull out the stops. The people of Arkansas are fed up. You are smarter than that, and I don't care how many millions of dollars and how many fake TV ads that John Bozeman does. I believe the people of Arkansas are smarter than that, and you're going to show them at the polls in May. On the issue of illegal immigration, John Bozeman calls it a disturbing trend. That's what he calls what's happening at our border. He said this is a disturbing trend. I kid you not. That's what he said on his Facebook page. I said, no, sir. No, sir. What is happening, and I know what's happening because unlike John, I went down to the border. I went firsthand. I rolled live. I didn't go with the police escort. We went rogue, and I showed you. I went all the way down to the river. We got shot at from across the river. We showed you live what was going on. And it's not a disturbing trend. What is happening at our nation's border is an illegal invasion of this country. It is an enemy invasion of our country. The first United States Senate candidate who has said this is an enemy invasion of our country happening at our border, and Joe Biden should be arrested on charges of treason for aiding and abetting an enemy invasion of our border. Don Washburn, I was on his show back before he got fired for doing the right thing, right? Choosing what he felt was right for him. He got fired. I was on his show and he said, so Jan, if you were in Washington, D.C., what would you be doing any differently than the current city senator? Remember you asked me that question? I said, how much time do you have? This could take all day. But before I was on, Jake Beckett was on, and he asked Jake Beckett, so what do you want to do as a United States senator? What are the first things you're going to do when you take office? You know what he told him? You know what he told Don? So to travel the country and talk to conservative young people and convince them to get involved in this conservative movement. As if being a United States Senator is a PR job and we're not in the middle of a war for this country. Wow. So when Doc asked me that, he said, what would you do any differently? I said, well, first of all, we wouldn't have Joe Biden because I would not have voted to certify a fraudulent election. I wouldn't have voted 21 years for supporting taxpayer dollars supporting Planned Parenthood. I would not have voted to confirm Pete Buttigieg. I would not have voted to confirm Linda Thomas Greenfield. I mean, this would literally take all day. Although, now if any of you are farmers, Bozeman tries to scare farmers into saying, well, I'm a ranking member of the Senate Ag Committee. Well, he doesn't even talk that aggressively. I'm a ranking member of the Senate Ag Committee. You should vote for me because I'm going to be the chairman of the Ag Committee if Trump is reelected or whoever wins the White House as a Republican. I'm going to be chairman. Well, he doesn't know that. He's in line to be, but that doesn't mean he's going to be. So when I talked to the Farm Bureau, I said, you know, I know there are a lot of farmers out there who are afraid to vote for anyone other than the incumbent because he is a ranking member of the Ag Committee. And I understand your fear, except I want you to know that there is not one thing that John Bozeman can do for you that I won't do for you, for our farmers, number one. Number two, there were a lot of things he should have done for our farmers that he didn't do. For example, under his watch, the amount of land in America that has been bought by foreign nationals, American farmland bought by foreign nationals, 35.2 million acres. All of that has happened on John Bozeman's watch. That is a national security risk. Yeah. And why didn't he stand up and fight back? Our senators have the constitutional authority, and I don't guess they realize this, but they do, because all they want to do is talk big, but they don't get anything done. Which is why on the way up here, I issued a warning to Tom Cotton, so if you all didn't hear it, be sure to pass it on to him. I said, Tom Cotton, I know why you want Bozeman in D.C., because he's your go along, get along, kiss up buddy. Let me tell you something. If I win this Senate seat, I'm not going to go along to get along with you. If you don't do the right thing, you vote the wrong way, I'm going to call you out every single day to the people of the state. Last week, that's John Bozeman's home turf, and I was dreading it. I was like, oh man, this is going to be, they're probably going to boo me out of the room. This is going to be bad. And I asked my campaign manager, Tracy, God, we got to dread this. But I went in anyway. John Bozeman's daughter was there. She left in a huff. We got a standing ovation for our speech, for my speech. Standing ovation on his home turf. As a journalist, I don't say something that I can't substantiate in writing or with video. Every single thing I told you tonight can be substantiated. If you can't find it, reach out to me. Now, here's one more issue that some of the men in the state have had, and I understand, so I want to alleviate that right now. Because there's a guy in our own committee in Garland County who said, well, we don't need any women in D.C. because women they'll cower under powerful men in government. We need strong, aggressive men in D.C. You think I would cower under anybody? No! So, if anybody says that to you, I want you to tell them, okay, you need to go to YouTube and look at the last documentary that I did, the last TV documentary I did before I retired from television journalism. I took on the Criminal Investigation Division of the Internal Revenue Service and the United States Justice Department under Eric Holder. Look up the documentary, it's called Rampant Justice. I'll be glad to talk to you more about that a little later, but I don't want to take up the candidate's time. But look it up. It is unconscionable what they were doing, the extortion they were in the middle of against conservative-owned businesses across America. And guess what? As a result of that documentary, it came to a stop. It stopped. So I'm going to close out because I know we have a lot of candidates here and perhaps there'll be time for questions. Are we doing the questions after each candidate or are we going to do them after everybody?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I believe that I have been preparing for a lifetime to step into this ring at this time and fight this fight for you. America, the heart and soul of this country is on the line. We are in a war. We don't have time to beat around the bush. And let me just tell you this one last thing about Jay Beckett. He talks big game. He says all the right things. But anybody can say the right things as long as you write it on cue cards for them and they can memorize it. He talks, and I'm not talking behind his back. I said this to his face in front of 600 people at a Reagan Day dinner. I looked him in the eye and I said, Jay, I appreciate your military service, although you weren't honest with us about how long you served. I don't know how you served in the military. We're a law student at Georgetown, and you were playing all at the same time. Something's not right about that, but I'll let you do it. But the problem, sir, is this. You talk a big game. You talk about fighting. We need bold, aggressive fighters in D.C. We need people to get up there and stand up and fight for the people. But the truth of the matter, Jake, is that the biggest battles we have had in the state of Arkansas have happened right there in your own hometown, like you were in Little Rock for the past 2 years, right there at our state capitol. The biggest, most brutal fights we have had in the areas of illegal immigration, election integrity, gun rights, and medical freedom. Right there at our state capitol, Jake. And where were you? Well, you're a military guy. You know what missing in action is, right, Jake? You were missing in action. You see, the truth is, the only way you can defeat the enemy is to know your enemy, to name your enemy, and have experience fighting that enemy. That's how you win. The enemy in D.C. is not a football team. You can't sack fellow Republicans or Democrats in the U.S. Senate. The opposing enemy in D.C. is not a military battleground. These aren't foreigners with firearms. This is a battle against political thugs in suits. And if you don't get anything else out of what I say tonight, listen to me, folks. Sending Jake Beckett to D.C. makes as much sense, with zero experience fighting thugs in suits, makes as much sense as putting a helmet and shoulder pads on Jan Morgan and sending me to the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl game and saying, go get him, Jan. Just the wrong person for the wrong fight. He's 32, he needs to get his feet wet, he needs to show us he can fight for us. Basically what he's telling people is, I'm not willing to fight for you unless you put me on the payroll and give me a title. Folks, I have been fighting for you at our state capitol on my own dime for 10 years. I'm the only candidate in this race. I am the record of successfully outmaneuvering the Biden administration to get laws passed in Arkansas to protect Arkansans from federal unconstitutional overreach. And I either led the fight or was in the middle of the fight in the areas of illegal immigration, election integrity, gun rights, and medical freedom. I was your girl. I stood up and I fought for you, and I will fight for you in D.C. Please, vote Jan Morgan for the United States Senate.
We'll give you a chance to ask questions now. We'll pass the mic around.